G'day everyone, Brian from Prime Cuts Lawn Care, New South Wales, New South Wales, Australia. Got to remember Yass. Well, it's an overcast day today. I think they said it'll get to a maximum of somewhere between 8 and 10 degrees Celsius. We did have a frost. I checked it about 3 o'clock this morning. When you're an old guy, you'll know what I mean. It was frosty on my BT50, but when I got up at about 5:45, that frost had gone. So that obviously went with the overcast and let's call it warmer conditions, but it isn't going to be warm today. We did have a couple of spots, little shower just scud through a little while ago, but generally the cloud's pretty high. They said we'd have it potential showers between 10 and 12, so I'm not too concerned about that. I've got the Ventrac on the back, finally with the stump grinder on it. That's a process. First time I've done it, so it took a fair while to get it on, and that's just beginner's stuff. I've got it does have a leg on, as you're looking at it when it's on the Ventrac, that goes down to balance it out with the stump grinding wheel, because you've just got to be so accurate with regard to connecting it and then being able to put the hooks that essentially clamp it onto the machine. So that's just beginner stuff. I thought I had it reasonably level, but I didn't, and so all I can say is there was a lot of mucking around, and you know, it's not like a quick attach implement, but I'll get better at it first time, and then first time using it today as well. So I'm looking forward to that. One of my existing customers, I think I've shown some of theirs before. They're on about 3 acres, and it's all pretty cleared. I use the ZT6000, but there are stumps which aren't bad, but you sort of and you know, they're ground level and that's all good, so it doesn't affect the mowing as such. But I sort of mentioned to the customer, well, we'll just if you want to, we'll get rid of those. I think there's 1 or 2 bigger ones. So what I plan to do is I won't get a shot of the littler ones, because what I'll do with that'll be my sort of a practice run, me getting used to it and all that sort of thing. And then I'll do I'll give the vision of the 2 larger stumps. So the smaller stumps would be 4 to 6 inches, so hopefully they'll get gobbled up pretty quick. And then I know one of them, it would be look, I'm going to say 18 inches, maybe even, yeah, 18 inches would be close to it. And I just can't remember the other one, but they're in close proximity to each other anyway. So I just said to the customer, I'll just do this for what I normally charge. So because this is the big one where I do pretty much 2 or 3 hours of whippersnipping and the 2 or 3 hours of mowing. So that will be, I'll call it comparable to what I'd most probably charge for stump grinding here anyway. And he can have a look at the machine too, because he's pretty keen on having a look at it, as a lot of people have been. So it's about 20 minutes from here, from Yass to the customer's place. So I'll just poke along down the highway, and when I'll get set up when I'm going to do those bigger stumps, and we'll have a look at that and see how we go. So those two are done, pretty good. Needed to get them, you know, 4 to 6 inches under the ground. So like for me, I can mow really well now, so that's really good. So I'll come back with a rake afterwards. We've got this other one up here near the fence, which is going to be a little bit tricky. So I'll just move up there and we'll just see how we go. So I haven't got all the stump, but it's 6 to 8 inches under the ground, which is exactly what we wanted. So now I'll just fill that back in. So I'll go and get my metal rake, and then I can just fill that in properly. But that's all done pretty well, and we'll have a bit of a yarn when I get back into the vehicle. Well done, everybody. It took about 2 hours and 20 minutes to do all the stumps. So those 3 were the biggest of them all, and they're actually quite I think they're eucalypts, so it's very tough timber. But yeah, just new at it, just learning, being a bit careful, just using the articulation of the Ventrac to, you know, go backwards and forwards and things like that, which works really well. That third one, being relatively close to the fence, it was actually good that the stump grinder is sort of at 90 degrees, and I've got a good visual of that, and being at 90 degrees like that as opposed to straight on, I'm not getting too close to the fence at all, which, you know, would wrap around and do all horrible things. So being at the 90 degrees enabled me to do that. And you'll notice in the video there's a little bar at the back which hydraulically goes up and down, and I can actually push the debris back into the hole which has been created by the stump grinder. And the aim was to get the stumps ground down to, you know, maybe 6, maybe 8 inches, which we've done. So from my perspective, that works well, because I'm not running over those stumps in with the mower anymore. So both paddocks, there would have been at least a dozen stumps. You know, those 3 that I showed were the biggest. All the other ones were relatively small, but I still ground them right down. So yeah, pretty happy with all that. Now if anyone's noticed anything, being my very first time stump grinding, any advice, that'd be really great. It'd be really appreciated. Hopefully you think I did a pretty good job for, you know, a novice, a rookie. So that's me for today. It is cold today. It's it says 9 degrees, feels like 3-4 Celsius, so it is quite chilly. So I'll get home and might even have a bit of a quiet afternoon. I've got 2 mowing jobs tomorrow. It's still all happening, and whether I get vision of that, I'm just not too sure yet. I think it'll just depend on the day. But anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. Just want to say g'day to Ben on Stay Relentless. Ben, I think I'm too old, mate, to do the push-up challenge, but I'm seeing Doc do it. I think the young blokes should do all this. So there's a young bloke named Chad, and there's a young bloke named Lee at Irvin's. You blokes have got to extract the digit, and you've got to make up and get in and do some push-ups. Anyway, that's my lot for today, everybody. Thank you to all my subscribers, pretty close to 600, which I'm really grateful for, really appreciate it. And I'll catch you soon.